everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are creating this soft glam look which would be perfect for brides or anyone looking for inspiration for their cocktail night, reception or soiree glam. I wanted this makeup to feel glamorous and elevated while still looking soft and wearable at the same time, almost like a more refined and luxe version of yourself instead of feeling overly heavy or overdone. So yeah, let's get started with the tutorial. So I first started off with the eyes. I used the Too Faced concealers and set everything using the MAC NC20 powder with a powder puff. For the eye discoloration, I went in with the shade Chai and then used golden beige to neutralize everything further. After that, I applied the shade Pearl just to brighten the area slightly and then locked everything in with the powder. To begin the eye look, I warmed up the crease and outer corners using the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil Caramel Cocoa Bronzer on a fluffy blending brush. I wanted a soft warmth throughout the eyes before building any depth. To deepen the outer corners, I used a dark brown shade from the Prosh Beauty Showstopper palette on a smaller blending brush. I'm building the intensity in layers because with deeper shades, once you apply too much at once, it becomes much harder to blend seamlessly. Then on a tiny blending brush, I picked up a black shadow from the same palette and focused it only on the outer corner closer to the lash line to create more definition and depth. Next, I went in with this cream eyeshadow from Charlotte Tilbury and placed it mainly on the center of the lid, slightly diffusing it toward the outer area. I didn't want to take it all over the lid because that would soften the depth we created earlier. So I'm just lightly pushing the product using the end bristles of the brush. To set the cream shadow, I used a silver shimmer shade from the Prosh Beauty palette on the same brush. This helps the shimmer adhere better and also makes it appear much more reflective and pigmented on the eyes. After this, I traced the lash line using a black kohl pencil and softly smudged it out using a flat, detailed brush. Using the same brush, I picked up this blue shimmer shadow and layered it just on top of the smudged kohl. I wanted the blue to feel deep and diffused instead of overly bright, which is why I used the black kohl underneath as a base to hold the depth and tone down the vibrancy slightly. Then I went ahead and applied the lashes. These are from Wenk Lashes. I don't remember the exact style name right now, but I'll definitely mention it on the screen for you guys. Moving on to the base, I first gently wiped away any fallout from the face and then started prepping her skin. I began with the Dalba First Spray Serum and gave it a little time to settle into the skin before moving in with moisturizers. For the first layer, I used the dramatically different moisturizing gel from Clinique and then followed it up with the Embryolisse fluid. I always like to give a few minutes between each skincare layer because allowing the products to properly settle into the skin makes a huge difference in how the makeup sits and lasts throughout the day. A lot of times when the base starts slipping or separating quickly, it's usually because the skincare underneath hasn't had enough time to absorb properly. Moving on to the base, I first started by concealing the discoloration around her eyes and mouth using the shade Chai from the Too Faced concealer. As you can see, I mainly concentrated the pigment around the eyes, and whatever product was left on the brush, I softly used that around the mouth area as well. You really only need to use what is required and work in thin layers instead of overloading the skin with product. To further neutralize the area, I went in with the shade Cookie and gently tapped the product into the skin. For the foundation, I used the Too Faced Born This Way foundation in the shade Almond. I first laid the product onto the skin, then buffed everything out evenly. This foundation matched her neck beautifully. She has fair skin with warm golden undertones, and honestly, this shade blended into her skin perfectly. Moving on to the blush, I used Pat McGrath Divine Blush Legendary Glow Color Balm in the shade Paradise Peony. This blush has a sheer formula initially, but it's completely buildable and gives the most beautiful soft flush to the skin. My favorite part is definitely the glossy finish it leaves behind. I've even used this blush on top of a fully powdered skin before, and surprisingly, it doesn't disturb the base underneath at all. That's a conversation for another video, but genuinely, this blush has become one of my absolute favorites. I felt like the under eyes needed a little more brightness, so I went back in with the shade Golden Beige, followed by a tiny bit of the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer in the shade Vanilla. Then I set everything using the Too Faced Loose Powder in the shade Translucent. To bring back warmth and add dimension to the face, I used the same bronzer and softly warmed up the outer perimeter of the face. For the nose, I switched to an angled tapered brush so the bronzer placement stays more precise and controlled instead of spreading all over the nose area. For blush, I used the PAC Spotlight blush in the shade Popular. It's a really beautiful pink with a slight hint of peach, and it's definitely pigmented. I wouldn't call this blush completely matte because it does have a soft sheen to it, but it's not overly glowy either. To diffuse the edges of the blush and lightly brighten the under eyes, I used the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Finish Powder in the shade Medium. And to tie the entire eye look together, I simply used the same bronzer along the lower lash line and added mascara. I intentionally kept the lower lash line quite soft without adding too much depth because I wanted the focus to remain on the upper eye area. And finally, I sprayed a little bit of Dalba spray to melt away any powderiness and bring back some luminosity into the skin. Moving on to the lips, I first lined them using the Mars lip liners in the shade Cinnamon Roll and Choco Butter, and then softly buffed the liner inward towards the center of the lips to create a seamless gradient. And then I applied the Forever 52 I'm Unlimited lipstick in the shade Citrus. On top of that, I layered the Character Cosmetics Read My Lips matte liquid lipstick in the shade Love Bugs to add a little more richness and depth to the lip color. And finally, I topped everything off with this beautiful gloss from Fay Beauty, focusing mainly on the center of the lips to create a fuller and more dimensional finish. And to lock everything in place, I used the PAC Micro Finish Makeup Fixer. And finally, here is my model's reaction to the complete look.
Oh wow! Is it nice? Yes! I can't believe it's me. I love it. It's actually so good. Wow. Yeah.
Moments like these make the entire process feel so worth it every single time. Seeing someone lit up after seeing themselves, that will always be one of my favorite parts about doing makeup. And this is the final look. I absolutely loved how this glam still feels soft and wearable while having that elevated cocktail and reception feel at the same time. I really hope you all enjoyed watching this tutorial and maybe picked up a few techniques or tips along the way. If you did enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.